Hi everyone, welcome to another video. My name's Mel Chadwick, I'm an illustrator and sketchbook artist. Today I wanted to talk with you about a common problem that happens in probably most artist studios at some point, and particularly if you're a mixed media artist like me, that is the issue of art material overwhelm. With all the best will in the world, I try to keep the space here tidy, organised, and I can find everything. Unfortunately, over time, that seems to just dwindle. I think we all love a good studio tour, and particularly ones where everything is in its right place. In this video, you'll see that everything is probably not in its right place and it looks particularly messy. My husband likes to refer to me as a crazy raccoon, particularly when I'm creating and in the zone. I normally find I have several different pieces on the go at the same time, which means that there isn't really a lot of space. And so the places that I have designated where I'm creating the art often get overcrowded with art materials. The art materials seem to just multiply over time. Even though I try to be intentional about what I'm buying and, try to veto things that I don't want, I still find that the materials seem to accumulate, whether that's through people giving me their old art materials or whether I've been gifted some art materials, or even if I'm just going out maybe to the art shop and I pick up a few things that I think, oh, I'd love to try that. If you're not being careful and you're not watching what happens, over time these art materials just encroach on the space that you have and just take over. So I'm at the point now where I just need to sort out a couple of problem areas in this room. I'd love to sort out more, but I am expecting and due baby in just over a month's time, so my brain isn't ready to take on the whole of this room to sort, particularly as we're already trying to do a lot of sorting in the rest of our flat to accommodate a little person. So I thought in this video I would just share a couple of the problem areas that I'm going to tackle and take you along with me, and maybe it'll give you some ideas if you have a similar issue. Okay, let's just have a closer look at my desk. So this is a standing desk, and it's definitely been really handy for this space. I tend to work a lot standing up, so it's been very helpful. But it used to be pretty clear, and now, can you see, because I'm working on a number of things at the same time, with a number of different mediums, there's not really a lot of space. I feel this bit needs to be reorganised and sorted. I do like having these little pots, but the thing is, I find they tend to multiply, particularly if you're getting more materials in. I do have like a pencil container, and that's just under here, which you can't really see, but you can see that's another problem area. It just makes it a bit more awkward to get out. So, and I've got my inks, that's in a nice little tray, but you can see these paints, they're just freestanding, and they're just, everything is kind of encroaching slowly this way, coming this way. I want to address this bit here. And just down from that bit, I have a lower table. This is just like a dumping ground, I feel, of where I put things like paper things, books, notes that I'm making whilst I'm creating. In here there's like calculator, some office supply stuff. Again, it just becomes a bit more of a dump, and then I've got my label printer here, and there's more art materials here. So over this side is where I have storage. Because I'm teaching, I have multiples of different materials. So that's what this shelf is. I then have stock that I'm selling, cards. Again, down here it's more boxes, painting stuff, multiple sketchbooks are in there. But it's up here that I wanted to kind of look at. So I have loads of Ecoline pens. They're great for workshops. And then more pens in these boxes, and then just boxes of art supplies, which are great, and I do like using them, but they're very hard to get to up here because I'm having to stand on a step just to film this. My thinking is that I would decant some of this stuff and move it over to here so that I have all my things accessible, but I don't think I want to have it all on show because I want to make it a little bit of a cleaner space. Let me just show you what Meaden has sent me. This is a 10-drawer wooden storage box, and you can see that they're narrow shelves and they should fit pencils, pens, pastels, and perhaps some little paint tubes, and I do have a lot of paint tubes. So I was thinking this would be good to kind of organise some of all of these pens and the ones that are up there, pencils, and also those pencils, so that pencils are all together. The other thing they sent me was this little box here, which is very attractive. It unlatches there, opens, and then you've got these wooden drawers that you can pull out, and you see they're slightly deeper than these, so these actually would probably be good also for paints that I need to store away. I've just put a couple of Tombow pens in there just to see the size. And you can carry it around quite easily, which I think is a bonus. My plan is to use these two things to reorganise the space, but also I want to customise them. We live in a flat that is rented, so we can't really decorate the walls or very easily alter things and put shelving up and all of that. So I just like to try and add a little bit of art around the space, and I think customising these would be quite a fun thing to do and just make the space look a little bit nicer. Hopefully I'll have something, this space here will be looking a lot nicer at the end. Over this year, I've found my love of wildflowers continues to grow and has been a subject that inspires and pushes me in my art regularly. A particular flower that has caught my eye this year has been the nasturtium. A brightly coloured flower, usually a mix of red, orange or yellow, with cute lily pad shaped green leaves. They are usually thought of as garden plants, but here in Cornwall I've seen them all over the place, and particularly in the wild, as they like to grow in poor soil. This sketchbook spread was drawn on location at Mousehole, and I loved seeing the nasturtium flowers spread their leafy tentacles across the rocks, covering almost every surface. They were the inspiration behind my pop-up greeting card workshop, which I worked on back in June. This was a very fun project to make, and if you're interested in making one for yourself, you'll find the link in the description. I recently customised this sketchbook cover and filmed the creation of it for my Sea Salt and Serpentine community on Substack. It's the Process and Play project for September. If you want to find out more, I've put the link in the description. As you can see, my inspiration was wildflowers, but I also enjoyed adding a decorative border. This will be something I definitely want to add to my storage box design too. You can see on the back I've painted another nasturtium and really enjoyed the more painterly approach. I continued this in another sketchbook and with these pieces too. And one last piece to show you is this painting. I'll let Mel explain. This is the most recent painting that I've done. You can see I decided to go dark rather than light, and I think this is what I really love is just the contrasts. So you've got the really bright pops of the colour, the complementary greens with the reds. And then it was painted on, again, an orangey yellow background, and you can see that coming through some of the leaves and then through the stems. And then I painted the dark background, which is a mix, and just looked at the negative space. And I think this is kind of the colour palette I would love to use. I think it just would look really nice and colourful and make me happy every time I see it. So that is definitely one idea. So I plan to paint the toolbox with the nasturtium motifs. My second source of inspiration has been the colour yellow and the inspiring sketchbook trip I took to visit the sunflower fields back in early August. You'll see a video on my channel that talks about sketching in the sunflowers, and if you haven't watched that yet, I'll make sure to link here. They've inspired me already to design some sunflower motifs in my sketchbook, and I think they will definitely feature on the 10-drawer unit. I also love this darker green contrasting background, and will certainly use this in my colour palette. Here are my designs for the toolbox, which will include 2 sliding panels on the top of the box. I plan to paint the nasturtiums on the top, and then around the edges paint a simple striped decorative border. The colour palette will be reds, yellows and a range of greens, going from light olive to pastels, right through to a really darker contrasting green. For the 10-drawer unit, I plan to paint a repeating sunflower motif along with a leafy decorative border, and possibly something more freestyle and fun. The colour palette will be yellows, golds, blues, pinks and greens. I'll be painting the design with these soft body acrylics from Meaden and mostly mixing up the colours to get the tones I like. I find these empty goo pots ideal for the quantity of paint I need. Once I've mixed them up, I'll cover them with cling film until I'm ready to use them. I've now transferred the designs to the boxes and I'm ready to start painting. Let's start with the portable storage box. As you can see, I've painted the removable panels at the top with a nasturtium flower design. I wanted it to feel quite painterly, and I love the colours. I kept it quite a simple colour palette of reds, yellow ochre and natural greens. I then decided to do a fun design on the sides, keeping it really simple with a repeating decorative pattern. I made use of the blue painter's tape to help keep my lines straight and mask out areas I didn't want to get paint on, and made this quirky little pattern around the side, a star pattern. Very simple, but I thought it was effective. I then added another stripy decorative border with dark green, cream and gold and little red accents. And here is the 10-drawer art supply storage box. I really enjoyed painting this one with a few different designs. On the top we have the repeating sunflower head, and then on the side we have the decorative border, a little bit more quirky but really fun colour palette, and then the lovely foliage entwining the box. And I dotted little pollinators like bees, butterflies, ladybirds, You can also separate the storage as well, so you don't have to have it as one large stack. You can see I also painted the underside, so if I did want to separate it, I'd still have some of the design there as well. I finished each of these with a coat of cold wax to make it easier to clean and protect it from dust and dirt. And here they are, organised and in my studio space. Let's just have a quick look at what I have put in this storage. So I did go through all of my pencils, and my pencils now live in the 10-drawer stack. I decided to group them in their colours, and they're a mix of different brands together. The top drawer actually has my stationery and fine liners, a mix of fountain pens, pencils, and then the pencils are in the other drawers. In the bottom stack, I've put all of my pastels and neon colours, again grouping them in their colours, which makes it very satisfying and easy to see what I have. I do have more space and a couple of drawers that haven't been filled. I'm sure they'll be filled though in the next few months with more pencils. In my toolbox, I decided to put all of my brush markers. I've got the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer markers. I've got my Posca pens, rulers, and then also I have some USB sticks, odd bods that kind of sometimes get lost. I thought I'd keep them all in this box. I think it'd be very handy as I'll be able to move it around quite easily. I also did a quick reshuffle of my wall, artist wall, putting all of my wildflower paintings and sketches, grouping them all together, so it all kind of fits with this wildflower theme. Find all the links to what I've mentioned in the description below, and there's even a discount if you do purchase anything from Meaden directly. I hope you enjoyed this video of me reorganising and customising my art storage. Hopefully it's given you some ideas to get you going if you find that this is something you struggle with too. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again really soon.